Boom! All right, ladies and gentlemen, podcasting can have its own technical difficulties, hence the late start for us, but we're on it. If you're interested in starting a podcast and you don't want to do all the work yourself, you're going to want to listen to this episode. Let's get this one on the road. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real-life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Buzz! Are you an entrepreneur looking to expand your brand and connect with your audience? You want to start your own podcast, but don't know where to begin? Our guest today is the perfect person to help you achieve your podcasting dreams. He's the founder, president, and producer of Social Chameleon, a podcasting done-for-you service that includes coaching, social media management, and PR promotions. He's also the host of Mic'd Up, pun intended, a podcast that inspires people to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. He loves inspiring entrepreneurs, businesses, and brands to tell their stories and connect with their audiences. Today, he's going to share his expertise and insight on podcasting and how it can benefit your business. So let's welcome to the show, Mr. Mike DiCioccio. Now the party can start, man. All that technical difficulty, but we're here, Mike. Welcome to the program, man.
You know how to throw a party. That was an awesome intro. Feeling the love, brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, man. Let's do this thing. All right. Let's talk about podcasting as a whole. I started my podcast in 2018. At the time, I think the data was like 500,000 podcasts have been starting. Most of them don't last more than like 12 episodes. And then COVID hit. And everyone and their mamas had time to start something, and all kinds of podcasts blew up. As soon as we went back into the real world, all that kind of died down. But technology took a turn for the better, and now it's much easier for us to start creating a podcast, but just people don't know how, man. Tell me your story. How'd you get into the podcast space, and what are you doing for people?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I'll tell the story on how I first got hooked on podcasts and like where my passion and love for that came from. Before owning my own company, I was in sales, and I used to drive around a lot, like door to door, sitting at people's kitchen tables selling insurance. I also was a store manager for a Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies. So I used to travel quite a bit to help out other store managers and do different things on the road and corporate meetings and stuff. So I had a lot of windshield time. And whenever I had that, I love music. I'm a drummer, so I love cranking music, rolling the windows down and having fun. But I also would have the university on wheels. I'd tune into Ed Milet, Lewis House, Grant Cardone, just a ton of people that love them or hate them. There's just so much good content out there that you can pull from different people, Gary Vee. And so that's what I was doing. I was really just like a fly in the wall to these great conversations. What's really cool is this was about 2016 when I got really started to get tuned in. Not that long ago, but it feels like a longer time ago now, 2023 as we record, right? So I was listening to a bunch of people who, at the time, even like Ed Milet was just getting started. His first episode was, I think, 2016, somewhere around there. So I got to see people go from their first episode and really blow up. And I was just really engulfing myself in all of that content and applying it to my sales game. And I was doing very well. I was one of the top store managers in the country, broke some records, have some really cool moments from my corporate side. But I had this itch to start my own business. I knew that I didn't want to have a 30-year career working for another company. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. To kind of take it back a little bit to my creative side, when I grew up, I always was creative. When my buddies were out, like, I love sports and played a little bit of baseball and stuff growing up, but we were like writing screenplays and running around with mom and dad's video camera, and we were like editing from one VCR to the next. Like, I was an 80s and 90s kid, right? So that was the technology we had. So we were making movies and stuff when I was a kid. Like, that's what we did to have fun, right? So I was pretty creative and crafty. I was in different bands, and I was banging on the drums. So that's really where kind of my creativity comes from, I feel like. And I always really admired, business owners and people who really took a shot on themselves. And a lot of the podcasts I was listening to were business minded, high performance minded. And really, I learned so much more through the voices I was listening to on podcasts than I did in the school system. And it's not really a direct knock on school. There's a certain time and place. And like if you wanted to be a doctor or dentist, you have to go to school to learn, that's the trade. But to be an entrepreneur, I feel like if you get the right mentors and go kind of the school of hard knocks and learn while you're in it, that's the way to go, right? So that's where you're going to learn from the best people that are doing it, either where you want to be or where you want to be going, and that's what podcasting did for me. So that's where my love for it started, and then to kick into the next part of the story, a friend of mine in business who had me kind of helping him launch another segment of his own business. It was called the Avanti Entrepreneur Network. So we're doing a lot of like business masterminds. He had a podcast that was doing pretty well. This is like 2016, 17, had about 25,000 downloads. So it was not like a brand new show. It had a decent audience at the time. And he was looking for a producer. I'm like, man, I went to Buff State for media production. I could figure out how to produce a podcast, right? Like I know how to do some editing, and I love video editing is actually my forte. So he's like, cool, you could, be the producer. And it was like for lunch money. We kind of joke about it now, but just to get, my feet wet. And so I started producing his show and did about 50 episodes, and this heart tug happened. And I felt God was speaking to me and said, like, it's your time to do your own show. Launch something that you believe in, that you would do no matter what. It doesn't have to produce income. Like, this is what you're giving back to the world. And that's where Mic'd Up came from. November 4th, 2019, I launched my first episode, and 183 Mondays since then, I haven't missed a week.
All Boom!
Bam,
That's
right
consistency, right?
Consistency.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, first of all, I want to go back to your knock on high school and the education system. I'm with you actually. Like I'm literally sitting in a class with 17-year-old high school seniors, and the hardest thing, I teach a class called financial algebra, right?
Did all the teachers cringe that were there? Like,
No. But like all the stuff that I talk about in class, it is absolutely life relevant skills, right? Like we just finished automobile ownership. We're going to do retirement chapter next, like all this relevant stuff, right? But they're 17. Like it's hard to get them to even like think about that as relevant for them right now. But I do like to show them and have them access things like having entrepreneurs on the show. Why? Because at the end of the day, you're presenting a life path that they may or may not go on, but at least they are aware that it exists. So I'm agreeing with you, man. Like podcasting, content, the internet itself gives these people an opportunity to educate themselves in almost anything they want. They just got to choose, right?
Right.
So let's talk about the podcasting space.
Yeah.
You haven't missed a Monday. 183 Mondays gone by. You haven't missed a single one. What is the relevance in being consistent when you're creating a podcast?
I want to speak to kind of finish the thought on education real quick, and any of the students that are in there. I just want to say, like, find what really like lights you up and gets you excited, and that's your call it your purpose in life, and what you really feel like you want to contribute to the world. Because and if you really fall in love with something, there's a way that you eventually will be able to monetize it, and you'll figure that out later. But when you tackle it with an obsessed mindset and action behind it, similar to like how Michael Jordan would tackle basketball, or Tom Brady in football, or Elon Musk with his business. Like there's someone who just has that much crazy passion, obsessed with making it as big as possible. Like when you find that for yourself, for me it was starting podcasts and getting into this, and I'll share a little bit more of the story. But anyone who's tuning in right now, either listening to the podcast, watching us, or a student, find your thing and just and go all in on it, and bet all in on yourself. If you're 17 years old, you could do that like 3 or 4 times over, and you'll still be like, if all first 3 attempts fail, you still got plenty of time, right? So there's no reason to not. And like you said, there's no shortage of information. Like I grew up, I'm blessed to be in the era where we like literally had to do homework assignments out of books and know how to do like the Dewey Decimal System. Don't ask me how to do it today, but I literally had to like go and read a book to do a book report. And then we had the internet, and then like Google went from being super slow to being like boom, boom, boom. In 3 seconds, you can find anything. So there's really like whenever I get together with someone and there's like a hiccup in plans or something, and they're like, I don't know what to do. It's so funny. The entrepreneur in me always comes out. It's like solved. Like I just figured it out in 5 seconds. Like if there's a brick wall in front of this idea, we'll figure it out. We just got to do some research. So that's number one. Number two, you asked me about consistency, and was the question, how have I been so consistent over the last 3 years? Is that kind of what the question was?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, the consistency is super important. You're doing it once a week. People have a hard time committing to once a week, once a month. Mine was super ridiculously crazy. We did it 5 days a week for 3 years when we first started, before we took a break. So the consistency is so important, but what consistency is, well, that might differ from podcast to podcast, right?
Yeah. I have to say, I've been blessed with a great network. And the network has built both from the podcast, but even just doing a lot of networking before COVID, before it was just online, I was already in a bunch of different online groups. Like I had Zoom 3 years before most people knew what it was. I'm sure you did too. And it's kind of funny that like COVID forced everybody online. It's like, we've been hanging out here already. Like, welcome to the party. So, I was doing a ton of networking, and not even like, I'm a Buffalo boy. I'm very proud of being in Buffalo, and I love my sports teams here, even though it's like having a dysfunctional relationship with someone who keeps breaking your heart and you keep coming back to it. I
At
know
least
it's
you got a team, bro. At least you have a team.
we have a team. It's not healthy over here, but we love our Bills, and the Sabres are coming along. But, so my point in that is like the consistency behind it is something that like, there was no stop. Like I knew when you're doing something you love, it's like playing the drums. Like if you love it, you're gonna want to keep doing it. So for me, I signed up for this with the intention that like if it made money, that's a bonus. If it doesn't, it's not like the end of the world. And what's really cool with what ended up happening with it is about a month after I launched my show, to give you kind of the world of scene of what I was doing at the time, Social Chameleon existed. You guys see it scrolling on the screen there. SocialChameleon.us, my company that I founded in 2017, we originally were helping people with their Facebook pages. It was more social media related, content management, just taking care of all the stuff that most local business owners in Buffalo didn't want to deal with. But very, very quickly, I realized like, man, I like put all my chips in on this in the table, and I didn't really love it necessarily. It was cool, but it's like, shit, I just came from a place where I was making really good money in corporate and walked away from it. And like, I don't know if this is going to work out. And the reason it wasn't going to work out isn't because social media companies don't do well. It's because like, I wasn't driving it with as passionate of a motor as I thought I would. So about a month into launching Mic'd Up, one of my clients that I was doing some social media content and testimonial video for down in Florida, which was a great client for us to work with. They were like, man, we're really impressed with your podcast, and our board of directors has been like trying to figure out how to do this. Nobody here knows how to do it and wants to figure it out. We just want to like hire someone. So I kind of mistakenly thought they wanted like a mentor or a coach. So I gave them kind of like a coaching thing. They're like, dude, we want you to do it for us. I was like, boom, I like this idea. They kind of like wrote my business model. They're like, so then I realized a bunch of other people reached out to kind of get the coaching first. And then once I coached them on like everything I knew, which was basically self-taught and working with my friend's show, then they were like, man, that's kind of a lot more than we thought. And like, you did this for 3 years plus 5 days a week. So it ends up becoming way more of a full-time job than people anticipate. And that's why they're like, can you do it for us? So took my first client, second, third, 12th, 24th, and just kept running. And then it got to a point where, I'm kind of the head producer of all the shows, similar to like a TV show has a producer, they have a director, they have, people who are finding the talent. So now I'm more of like the lead producer on all of the client work. But I have a team of editors because there's no way I can scale by editing every single podcast or piece of content that comes across our desk. So a shout out to Randall, Todd, and Marie on the team. I have 3 great team members right now, and we're looking to expand. So if anybody is interested, even an internship opportunity to a potential paid position, reach out. My email is scrolling somewhere on the screen there too, if you want to bring it up. But yeah, we're definitely growing. We're growing at a rapid speed. 2022 is our best year yet. And 2023, I have no doubt we're going to crush it, maybe even 2x 2022.
Mike, let me ask you about technology because, we talked a little bit about growing up in the 80s and 90s. I was there myself, right? The onslaught of dial-up, and then all of a sudden we started getting high-speed internet. It starts getting a lot better. But now we have AI, and AI is totally changing the landscape. I saw just this week a podcast editing AI platform that will help you completely edit in Adobe Premiere, of all things, right? Like literally chopping things up as we go, putting it in the right format. I mean, a lot of these softwares are allowing us to really minimize our overhead when it comes to helping people create content at scale. How has AI shifted the way you do podcasting now?
Brilliant question, and I'm glad we can address it. So I think it's a great tool. At first, I kind of had the little bit of cringe factor, like oh crap, like what does this mean for our longevity of our business? But then very quickly, I was like, this is a tool. This is a tool. If we know how to use it right, we can continue to grow as a business, and we want to implement this and be the latest, greatest, using cutting edge technology and not running away from it, but running towards it. So, interestingly enough, we produced a show last night and that released early this morning. And the social media content, I used ChatGPT. I wrote a couple ideas down, ran it through there. It wrote it better than I probably would have. And then what I do is I kind of copy and paste it and do like a second run through. And then I kind of take a little bit of each one and put it together. So there's still the human element. So there's still my brain, there's still my heart behind it, but it wrote it in 5 seconds when it might have taken me like 30 minutes. And so I saved myself a couple hours between versions of it. And then I just had to, create the cover art and have the team run it through and write the show notes. We have a person on our team that's dedicated to writing show notes. He actually called me. He's like, I'm kind of scared that my job's going to be gone. I said, I get it, but I hired you because I like you. I like your writing style and your brain. Use this technology. You can use it as much or as little as you want, and let me know like how it's going. But like, I'm not going to pay you less because you're using ChatGPT to help you write quicker. Like, it just means that you might get to your next project sooner, and that means you can help more clients and we can grow. That's what I want. So that's the mindset I have. Now, as far as like the editing software, is it going to take our jobs away and stuff like that? It certainly, people could choose to do like get the software version of trying to do things, and I'm not saying cut corners, but have more of a where the technology kind of handles that stuff. But I haven't seen it yet where like the tech is pulling the best clip out of the episode and knows like what your style is, or like what your guest said that you really wanted to get on your social media channel. So I still feel there's a human element behind pulling good clips. I haven't seen it yet where that's been replaced. And as far as technology goes, I know there's Descript, which like cleans up audio and almost anybody can figure out how to use it. That's cool too. Like, we've even used some of those tools for our lower paying clients that don't have like, we're not doing the full lift for them. They just want stuff cleaned up and like look good and get it out quicker. We'll use that technology too. As long as it sounds good, the end result is the most important thing. And however somebody chooses to get there, I don't think is as relevant. Like, we still have horses. Some people ride horses, and horse and buggy you don't see going down the street as much because the car came around, and so now we use that. But there's still a need for a vehicle. We're not going to just walk everywhere because we can. You know what I mean? There's
No,
a vehicle
excellent.
there.
Yeah, no, excellent point. And you're right, absolutely right. AI is a tool. I like to use the hammer, for example. If I gave a hammer to a mass murderer, it's different than if I gave it to a contractor, than if I gave it to an infant. Same item, 3 different hands, 3 different uses, right? And I feel like that's the same way with a lot of these AI platforms. There's the tool for you to use. Now you just got to go and learn how to use it. And that's where the dilemma is for most of our clients, right? They don't want to learn how to do that. They want somebody to get it done for you. So you're literally providing that service. It's just helping you be much more efficient in all aspects. I literally write my my show prep using ChatGPT as well. Totally saves me a ton of time from the hour and a half prep that I would normally do for a show. Now it's like 20 minutes, right? And it includes a lot of different things that are designed to help make the show a lot better, but I'm using AI to help me get there. So it's definitely a cool way to do things. What about...
I just want to say too, I used it to write intros and outros for clients, where before that was all custom and would take me a few hours to work it through and get the right voice. And have everybody check it out. Now it's like, all right, this is kind of the style I'm going for. And what's really cool is the one I use, the one that's right based on Google. It's called Monica. I just got it like literally this week, but I've used other platforms. With this one, I have no affiliation. I'm not getting an affiliate commission or anything, but check it out. It's like right on Google Chrome. It's called Monica. And you can go in there and you can say, like, if you want it to be silly or serious or short, long, is it a paragraph? Is it a social media post? You can tell it kind of like the style and the platform. And I'll tell you what, like, you know, at first I thought it was going to be very like robotically written and not even something I could use, where I would have to really rewrite it anyways. Not the case. I mean, I just peeled a little bit. There's some redundancies that were in there, and there's a style choice. Like, I wouldn't say that word, but I'll use this word. And now I'm doing things in 30 seconds and not 30 minutes.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you about the different types of podcasts that people can create. Because one thing is interview based. There's all kinds of different shows that you can create as well. Creativity could be anything. But for the most part, when it comes to an interview based platform, there's two pieces. There's the hold on a second. There's two pieces. There's the virtual, the way we're doing it here. And then there's the in-person, where you're all sitting on a couch or you're all sitting in there like the Joe Rogan style. When people are looking for done-for-you podcast services, are they looking for both aspects? And are you like traveling across the country to do that? Or is it mostly on the virtual side these days?
Awesome question. Right now, it's mostly on virtual. The reason for it is the ease of getting started, launching, and cost. It's much more cost effective. I have had some bigger name clients that are like, I really like the idea of getting in person and like having someone in front of me. There's a different vibe and energy, and I certainly agree with that human element. But think about like if you have a guest, either they're covering their flight or you're covering it for them. You have to get them in town on a special occasion. The kind of guest like it works for Rogan because they know he's a top 3 podcast at all times so far, and since his show really has blown up, so it's like a huge marketing opportunity for someone to do that, and they may go and have the means to do it. So if you have the means to do it, I think that works great. But really, for like cost effectiveness and ease of getting great guests on your show, just the same caliber, but now they're willing to do it. I think Ed Milet just interviewed Matt McConaughey, but it was like, I believe they did virtual too. It's probably because he's in between so many different things that McConaughey's doing. It's like, but you still want to get him on the show. You're going to tell him, no, you got to come in person to my house and we'll record it in my studio. So I do think it's cool if you can do it in person, but for the most part, we haven't really been pursuing that just because I know it costs more, it takes longer. I'm willing to go somewhere and scope out a room and help somebody stage it and do the whole thing. But that's something right now, it's not even like in our business plan. That is something I'm considering because you're not the first person to bring it up. Some people are like, can you do that? And I'm like, you know what, I can do it. So let's put a proposal together and figure it out. But it's not really something that those are one-off situations. What we're looking to do is scale, bring someone in, get their podcast set up, get them to their 50th episode, get them way past that cliffhanger. Like you said, 12 episodes, people fall off the face of the earth. Get them comfortable. And the most important thing, and why I love doing what I do, is to get out positive-minded content. So most of the shows we work with, we got Green Living with T. It's all about eating healthy and living a better life and, setting yourself up for your home, the products you use in your home. We have 2000% Raise, which is an entrepreneurial show about a guy who literally quit corporate and started his own business and gave himself a 2000% raise. He has had a ton of great business professionals on and athletes and you name it. But the reason I love working on these shows is when we produce the content and we see it released, that's great information going out into the world. There's so much negative news and negative Nelly stuff out there that just brings you down. You see it a lot on social media too. It's like negative, negative, negative. So we're really trying to be part of that positive movement, and that's what I get excited about.
Let me ask you about packages. So if people want the done-for-you service, they are ready to start their own podcast, they have an idea, but they need that help to get across the starting line, essentially, not the finish line here. They just need to get started. What's it like working with you guys? Walk me through that process.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we do a discovery call to make sure it's a good fit. We want to make sure what we're working on is something we're comfortable with. If someone has a show that's just not really our something we're interested. I don't even say interested because that makes it sound like we're kind of being like conceited about it. It's more like we want to make sure it's in the vein of our company. Like I just said, if it's positive minded and doing great things, we're interested in working on it. We also want to work with someone who's committed to a longer term game plan. If someone's like, I want to kind of try this and see if it works and if I can monetize it quickly, they're already like, if their priorities are not in the right space, then we know that can be problematic. We're not going to be as interested in getting that started. So we want someone who's really looking for a lockstep relationship where we can work with you for 6 months, 12 months at minimum to get you started and really get you in a place where you're seeing results and seeing your downloads go up and making sure we're looking at the right things. If you want to monetize it, we can get you there and help you with that. But we have to make sure we're doing the right infrastructure. Like you don't build a house and like you have the basement and the up here and the showers in the back corner. Like you make sure you build the foundation correctly. And that's really what we make sure we focus on first. So we're setting someone up for success. And that's why many of our clients are top 10% most downloaded. We have top 5%ers, top 1%ers, because we've built the foundation. Now they're really focused on being the host and they don't have to worry about all the other stuff. Does that kind of answer your question on that part of it? I mean, I can continue.
Yeah. And what are we looking at? Like, what kind of investment does somebody need to consider when starting a podcast?
Yeah, we start at $12.99. That's kind of the sweet spot where everything we offer in our pro plan. If you priced it out and you tried to like nickel and dime it through like Fiverr, Upwork, or hiring an intern or someone, by the time you get to everything that we do for you, you're going to be around there. If you do it, but hire 6 people to do it, or you can hire one company and know that you're working with someone who's produced over 1,000 episodes for clients. And if you had my own show in there too. So it's not like it's our first rodeo. So you can have the confidence behind it. So $12.99 is the starting price. That's for 4 to 5 episodes per month. That's a weekly release. Some months have 4, some have 5 weeks. We don't charge for the 5th extra one. So you get kind of a bonus episode that month. It's a flat rate. Prices don't fluctuate or anything like that. So once you're in, that's what we do. Now, if you wanted to scale up and say like we're looking to do maybe a bonus show, like maybe we do a Monday release and like a shorter episode on a Thursday, then we can customize a plan. That's the audio plan, right? So that includes like your social media content, cover art, distribution, show notes, all that good stuff taken care of for you. Then up from there, we go to the influencer plan, which is video. So it's audio, video, social media content, giving you those clips for reels. And really the most important thing is the click-through, right? So I feel that the influencer, it's actually been our most popular because most people do want that influencer content for their Instagram and TikTok. And then the third plan is really the white glove. It's elite. It's where we get your guests for you. We do all the communication. We do the booking for you. Everything you get in the influencer plan, plus that. We can even update your website for you. Like if you have a podcast tab and we're adding the new show in there every week or a little blurb blog style on your website, we can manage that for you too. And also if you want us to like just handle posting it on your social media, we can do that too. And that's included in the elite plan. So starts at $12.99 and goes up from there. And the last thing I'll say is we do work with our clients to customize it. Part of the idea of Social Chameleon, the Chameleon name came because that's kind of my sales style is depending on who I'm working with, I kind of shape shift into doing the right thing for them. So it's not like a one size fits all. We do have 3 plans on the website because we want to really simplify the process. But if somebody comes to me and they're like, I want influencer, but I want like 1 or 2 things from Elite, but not all of it, I'm not going to send you on your way. I'm going to say, yeah, let's build your own custom plan.
I mean, that's the way it works in the real world. That's what customer service is all about. Let me find whatever problem you have and let's get the solution figured out. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're here for. If I can provide the solution, that is a winning business model.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, again, dude, 30 minutes flies by. Thanks for putting up with the technical difficulties up front. But before we head out, any final thoughts? And of course, if people do want to reach out and find out more about the 3 different packages that you have to offer, how can they do that?
Yeah, directly on the website, I made it very easy. It's on the first page, socialchameleon.us. If you're interested in positive entrepreneurial content and really leveling up in life, follow me on Instagram. It's at Mike DiCioccio. I'm sure that'll be clickable in the show notes. You don't have to worry about spelling my name. And I appreciate you tuning in. Send me a DM. Let me know that you're actually listening to the Business Bros podcast. I'd love to give them some love too, and I'll tag you in it. And then really if I have an opportunity to give some wisdom right here, like the number one thing I can tell you how I got to this level of success, and I feel like in the infancy stage, if you consider the big picture and my legacy that I'm looking to build. I'm still early on in my journey, but I got to this point because I got started in 2017. And I just want to give someone this idea, like if you're creating a product, think of it this way. Like the first iteration of the product might be a square, right? We're really simplifying things. You got this square and you put it in the market. And you only sell 3 in your first month. And you're like, oh man, I don't know if this is going to work out. Now you do some customer surveys. You ask those 3 people what they liked, what they didn't like. You ask people why you landed on our website, but you didn't purchase it. What are you thinking? And they tell you it's got like 1 too many sides, right? So now you'd make the triangle and you sell 15 of them. You're like, oh, now our numbers are going up. We're trying to hit like 100 a month. You listen to those people. Still too many sides. You turn that triangle into a circle. You start selling thousands of them. Would you have figured out how to create the circle if you didn't start with the square and listen to people and figure it out? You may have never gotten there. You could have stayed in like creation mode. And a lot of people are in like idea mode all the time. They're meeting at coffee shops. What's our big, thing we're going to sell and go on Shark Tank? And they just run through idea after idea, but they don't start it. And so I'm not saying not to plan, like you certainly want to plan, but you got to take action. So the reason I'm where I'm at today with any level of success is because I got started, and as I went through, I learned from mistakes. I compounded on my wins, great mentors in my life, listening to a ton of great podcasts like this one, reading a ton of books. Just there's no shortage of information. So if you really want to go and get something for your life, something big, like dream big, go do that. And it's completely possible because there's so many different roads to your success.
Great words of wisdom, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, look, it's what it comes down to is you got to take action. I don't care what it is you want to do. Even if you don't know how you're going to do it, the fact that you're taking action is going to be that step that you need to finally have that circle that sells thousands. And Mike is in a very similar industry as I am. We're doing a lot of the same thing, and there's plenty of clients to go around. Like coaching, you just got to figure out who you want to work with. And I believe the program that they got here squared away is amazing. Socialchameleon.us is the website, socialchameleon.us. Mike, thank you very much for coming on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, stop thinking about it and just start doing it. I promise you it'll change your life. You'll find your voice. You'll find your passion. You'll figure out who you're talking to. There's all kinds of benefits. You can even meet some of the most famous people that you look up to simply by having a show. So definitely highly recommend that you guys check it out. One more time, socialchameleon.us is the website. Mike, thanks again for coming on the show. Ladies and gents, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
I'm going to tell you something real quick, man. I've been on a ton of shows as a guest as well. And what you just did right here, that's the last 30 minutes, was one of my favorite experiences. You had it. It was fun, informative. You did a great job with your questions and your research. So well done, brother. Very professional.
Appreciate that, man. And like you're episode 1148. If I didn't get good over time, I probably shouldn't do it. And that's the thing, ladies and gents, you're going to get practice. And that's where you get better. Practice makes progress. Not perfect, but progress, right?
Be great and be grateful. That's what I end with every show. Be great and be grateful.
Be great and be grateful. All right, ladies and gents, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today.